Hello, everybody. It's Dina from the Realize Foundation. And today I'm here with Chad Gaines. And you might remember Chad from book two with Scars to Stars. He wrote a chapter about part of his story in that book. And so, Chad, I'm glad to have you back here today because there is some super exciting stuff happening in your life. And I can't wait for everyone to hear more about it. So, I'm going to let you tell us what's going on, and then maybe we'll go back and understand how you got here.
Sure. Thanks, Dina, for having me today and working through all my cold and sickness and everything I got going on today. Yeah, I was featured in book two, I believe. And wow, it really just took off from there. I began to write my book, my personal book based on my life story. Who Am I? And now they're turning that book into a major motion picture. So it's very exciting.
It's crazy. I remember when you told me that they were making a movie, and I was so curious about all of it, and I didn't really get to understand much. And then the other day we had a conversation, and you caught me up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable!" So you have to tell the story about how this started.
Well, it's actually a funny story. I say this happened by accident, but on purpose. And this is how I was working at a restaurant as a waiter here in San Francisco, and I was standing in the Starbucks line behind two gentlemen who were talking, and I was kind of listening in because speaking is my thing, my career, I guess, if you want to call it that. I just have fun with it, but people call it a career. So anyway, these gentlemen in front of me were talking about how they needed a great story to turn into their director. And I thought, wow, is this my time? Or because of the way I'm dressed, because I'm getting ready to go to work at the time, should I just let this pass? And something came over me and said, you need to speak up. The worst they can do is say no. So I approached these gentlemen and said, I'm really sorry that I overheard your conversation, but I think I got something you might be interested in. And at the time, I was just writing I believe it was the first three chapters of my book. So the gentleman reached in his suit pocket and pulled out his business card and handed me his business card. And I said, I'll get that to you later today. I went ahead and went to work, came home, not thinking nothing about it, was changing out of my work clothes and realized I had that uh, business card in my pocket. So I did. I sit down and I wrote him an email. I sent him the first three chapters of Who Am I? And they were just blown away. And about an hour after the email, I was on the phone with them, and they said, we work with a media company over there in Oakland, which is, from us, it's right across the bay. You can see Oakland from here. And said, there's a media company we work with, and there's a gentleman there by the name of, and then he gave me the name. So I emailed him, and an hour after that email, I was on the phone with him, and he says, I think we want to take this to the bigger group. And there was a major motion picture company in Hollywood that wanted to take a look at my three chapters and potentially write a movie script based on my life. And that's how the original input to them came about.
Yeah.
Kind of funny, but on purpose.
But that's crazy. But I also want you to remind people what was going on in your life at that time.
Oh, a lot was going on in my life at that time. Not as much now, but then I was working at the restaurant. I was trying to save money to invest in my own book and my own self, basically. So I was trying to save up a bunch of money, living way, way below my means in a studio apartment in San Francisco, which is still outrageous for rent. Anywhere in San Francisco is just outrageous. So I was doing that. I was working 6 days a week and just trying to save as much money as I can to invest in myself. And then I was picking up some speaking engagements at the time back in 2020. And I met Hollywood writer Stevie Long, who began to write my movie script. And the second time that they sent me down to Hollywood, I met with Warner Brothers. They wanted to offer me a $4 million compensation right up front, all up front in a check. They wanted me to basically take the $4 million and walk away. And they wanted to own the rights. And who wouldn't be okay with that? But I actually, once I seen the manuscript that they were writing, I actually turned it down and I said, no, that's not what God wants me to do or what I'm supposed to be doing, because they wanted to change it. And I get it. It's business. Business is business. You buy someone's product and, you know, outright, and you want to change it to make it fit Hollywood and make it fit the big screen and make it fit the big budget. And I didn't want to go down that route of, you know, big A-listers playing me in a movie. It sounds great and fascinating and all that, but when it comes down to it, what is the price on someone's life story? What, you know, that's a good question for listeners or viewers too. If you were going to write a book, what price would you take for your story? You know? And for me, it wasn't about the story. It was about what the story represented. And it didn't represent the full truth as I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short, Stevie Long was still on the side writing my movie script. I'd become really good friends with Stevie Long, and we have the same age daughter. We have 9-year-old daughters, and we just really hit it off as really good friends and stayed in touch. And he wrote the movie script. We edited it a little bit, but we really loved it. And then I signed on with Angel Studios, which has been my lifesaver. They are a Christian platform, movie, TV shows, cartoons for kids, represent the family much like I wanted to the whole time. And it wasn't up until my wife and I went to see The Sound of Freedom, who brought out, Angel Studios brought out The Sound of Freedom. And we were at the movies, and I remember walking out of the movies, and I took a selfie in front of the movie poster, and I laughed with my wife as we were getting in the car. I said, wouldn't it be funny if I got my movie in Angel Studios too, and it really took off like this? And here we are 4 years, almost 5 years later. It's going to be distributed through Angel Studios in, you know, thousands of theaters around the country. It's also going to be on Peacock, Amazon Prime, and Netflix. So we got a great deal, exactly how we wanted. They did not change one word of the movie script. We kept all the rights to ourselves and got a really nice distribution agreement like we always wanted and like we rightfully deserve, because it is a really great movie that's going to inspire millions of people.
I can't wait. I mean, I've read your book, so I kind of have an idea of what the movie might be about. But I know when you take a book and make a movie, it's not always exactly the same. So sometimes it's good to still read the book and watch the movie. And
Absolutely.
yeah, but I want you to talk a little bit about how, like, since you've started filming and talking about actors and all this stuff, like, how has that been for you?
It's been very impactful and very stressful. It's a very it's a very intriguing process to learn how to make a movie. And I didn't know anything about it because I'm just a normal, you know, working class person, and I had no clue, you know. And now I got actors and actresses and directors texting me and calling me all the time, asking me questions because, you know, now that I hold all the rights, I have to answer those questions and answer to people. So it's been a very intriguing process to learn how a movie is being made. It's
Mhm.
very interesting. There's a lot to it and a lot of people involved.
So what was the most surprising thing you've learned since you started filming?
I think what it's like to be on a movie set.
Yeah.
and how and what goes on behind the cameras with details of how to stand, how to what to wear. We got wardrobe people that come in and do wardrobe for people. We got makeup artists that come in and do makeup for guys and the girls. So, there's no glare and all those things. Um but I think that was the most exciting and the most shocking thing because I just didn't know. You always think like, oh, we watch a movie and we don't think no more about it other than it's a good movie or a bad movie. That's it. We don't think about all the hours spent behind the cameras and how many takes it takes. You might film 4 hours for 20 minutes worth of footage, and we've been in that situation already where we've filmed 6 hours for 8 minutes worth of film because we have so much to choose from. Now you got to pick the right edits, and then you got to lay sound over top of it. You got to color correct it. So it's such a long process from the time you start filming until it's released in theaters. It's nearly a year, sometimes year and a half, from the time of filming till the time it's released, where everybody can just tune in and watch it on TV or streaming platforms now, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. So you told me that you're going to be filming 25 days straight. When is that happening?
Well, we're hoping that's going to be sometime in the fall of 2025, and then we can hopefully release the movie in winter of 2025.
Awesome.
So yes, it will be 25 straight days of filming, 10
Awesome.
hours a day.
So I'm guessing that you're also being prepped for, that movie premiere and red carpet kind of stuff, right?
We are. We've had some invitations to possibly go to the Golden Globes this year. Actually, my wife and I. So we're just waiting to hear back how that's all going to work. But yeah, we are preparing and prepping for that. It's going to be in Los Angeles. It's going to be a really nice big premiere, of course. We'll have all this, the movie cast there, the crew, the directors, myself, my wife, of course, and many other friends and families, investors also that have invested in the movie will also be there. So it's going to be a really great time, and that'll be take place at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood there.
How exciting. I know it's all glitz and glamour moving forward with this whole thing, but the reason your story is so important is because so many people can relate to different facets of what you've been through in your life, and it makes me emotional because having movies like this and Sound of Freedom,
Yeah.
it's not just about having a movie of your life, it's about the impact it's going to make on so many people.
It is, and I'm learning that from every book signing that I go to at Barnes and Noble, um, hearing other people's stories. And for me, that's what it's about. Like always say, this movie is about me, but it's not for me. It's about the countless other people that deal with and suffer from trauma and PTSD, is like I do myself. And everyday tasks are some are very difficult. Some are very difficult to leave the house even sometimes because you go into this dissociation where you just want to be alone. And then I find myself like it's easy for me to walk on stage in front of 4,000 people, but we have family get-togethers and there's 15 or 20 intimate people here that we know, that I know personally. I have a hard time associating with. I come to the bedroom and want to be alone, so to speak, and go through all those irrational feelings that I have of not wanting to be around people, but yet I can go on stage and speak in front of 3, 4,000 people at a time. So it's a learning process. But I think the most important thing is that all of us that suffer from trauma need to do is celebrate the small victories. You know, when there's a small victory, write about it. If you don't write, open your phone, put it in your notes. Any way to get it down, get it out. Whatever your release is, legally, of course, because you don't want to turn to drugs and alcohol like I once did in my life. As that's a path that either leads you to death or prison. And, um, in my life, I went through both of those. So that's not something you really want to do. But whatever is an outlet to you, a positive outlet, celebrate the small victories. That's very important. It's
Yeah.
very important.
And I would like to say, since you brought up writing, it's the writing is cathartic. It is healing. There's so many things about writing that I didn't understand until I was older because
Yeah.
um, I never got good grades in English. I never, when we had to write essays for school, it was like I was dreading it because I didn't know what to say or what to write. And it was difficult for me. I was better at math and science stuff. But
Mm,
I think that through journaling, through, the pandemic is when I started journaling and processing a lot of my own story that I hadn't addressed. And it is really helpful when you're trying to heal from something or you're just trying to understand something that's happened in your life that has been hard and journaling about it just for yourself. Nobody else has to read it. It's such
right.
a healing process. And I think that's why our books are so successful on the writer side and the reader side because the people who come and write in Scars to Stars are usually coming saying, I want to write something to help other people. That's their intention. And
Yes.
then we go through our 12-week process as a group and everybody has a whole different outlook at the end. They're like, I did this for others, but it really helped me. And maybe it helped them heal things with family members. Maybe it helped them just understand their journey better. But they always come out of it with some kind of benefit or healing. And it's so incredible.
It has been very incredible. I hear so many different stories, like I said, when I go to my book signings and I'm signing over, a book to them and I hand them the book and they say, "Do you know?" And then they'll share their story. And it's just, I find myself being at the bookstore 5 or 6 hours, and most of that time is not just signing books, but also hearing other stories. And if it's not that, it's through email where I'll get emails from people from around the country sharing their life stories. So I think there's a big outreach that you and I and people like us are tapping into, but it's got to be much bigger than that, and I feel that this where that movie is going to fill that gap for me, at least, to get out to millions of people. Because between the book and movie, it is very important that you read the book and look at the movie, because the book is more raw and more graphic, right to the point. I didn't hold nothing back in the book because I can sit here at the computer with my own thoughts and go wherever I want. But now with the movie, obviously, because it's a Christian based platform, we had to tone it down a little bit. But you'll still see the effects of what trauma can do to one person, and the long term effects of the trauma to myself has been just, unbelievable. It really has. It really has. It's affected my whole life and will always affect my whole life. It's not going to go away tomorrow.
True, true. Well, I think, it's what makes people interesting isn't the right word, but it's what the the culmination of all the things that we've been through in our life makes us who we are. And I think that, some of us have been through harder things than others, and some of us have uh, what we think is a good life, and maybe there's some hardships in there that you just stuff down and don't talk about.
That's
I
right.
did that for a long time, but I think if you do that and you really revisit that and really process it for yourself, it will help you get to a better level of peace. Um, and so I implore people to explore that for themselves. But I just put up the name of the movie is Pocket of Hope, and be looking for it on your, wherever you watch movies, or and
Yeah,
I'm going
any of
to
those
put up.
platforms. It'll be out next winter, about this time next winter.
Okay.
So really
But we're
thankful
gonna
for that.
put below this video, we're gonna put the link to the trailer so you can see that, um,
Sure.
and how you can reach out to Chad. So, is there any last words you want to give everybody, Chad? About
I think it's just important, like we talked about briefly, is celebrating the little victories in your life, whether that be trauma or overcoming addiction or working through the addiction. I talked with someone earlier today, and they were celebrating in between 3 and 4 days of working through addiction. They can be clean for 3 or 4 days. I said, write about it. Write about it. And then I want you to go back next week, no matter what happens, whether you go back or you don't go back, and look at it and see where you were last week. And you can always go back there. And it's just a great healing. It's been really great treatment for me, along with my music that I listen to. Music has taught me everything I needed to survive in my life from the time I was 7 years old and up until an hour before we got on here. It's everything. I have to get pumped up for these. And I think it's very important that I stay pumped up because people are needing that, especially in the world today. They need whatever encouragement they can get, and celebrating the little victories is crucial to life.
music is really important to me too. I think, just real quick, I want to put this up. If anybody's looking to find us or our podcast, you can go to realizefoundation.org. You can donate towards our cause there. You can sign up to maybe tell your story in one of our books, or you can just reach out or consume some of our content there. But I think that it's true. Music for me is crucial as well. And I think I have different, maybe you do this too. You have different playlists on your phone for your moods.
Of
So like
course.
if you're feeling depressed, you have those songs who allow you to feel depressed. And then if there's, something you're, like you said, you're getting pumped up for something, and that's a whole different playlist. So it's like, how do we find what makes us feel good in those moments where we need to? Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I got all those playlists. They're not always organized,
mhm,
but they're the playlist.
mhm,
And I can go to those, whether I'm feeling happy, sad. And I think that's important. It's okay to feel happy and sad.
mhm.
Just don't stay in it.
Yeah,
And in my past, I have stayed in it, and it's always good to move forward. Anywhere and anything that you're doing in life, you got to move forward because time is not going to stop for any of us. It's going to keep moving forward.
very true.
I'm very grateful to come back and talk to you again, Dina.
Yeah, I'm grateful that you're here, and I can't wait to see the movie. Excuse me.
Yeah, you watch the movie trailer, so you get a little inside glimmer of what it's going to be like and what
Mhm.
it's going to be about. Of course, it's going to be about me, but it's not for me.
Well,
Uh,
I like how it will be different than the book, and it will
mhm.
be, from the trailer you might get this too, but it's more about like you talking to your grown daughter about your life, and it's in a very different context than the book is.
It
So
is,
I
yes.
really would implore all of you to go out and read Who Am I, and maybe Chad will be around in a Barnes and Noble to sign it for you. Who knows?
That's true. I thought I was wrapping up my tour, but then I got 3 or 4 more book signings that come through my email whenever I decide, okay, well, maybe next week or the weekend after I want to do a book signing. And then you can just choose and just, send it out. I get a great relationship with Barnes and Noble, so it's been a really great journey.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you again for showing up. I know you're not feeling well today, but thank you for giving us all an update on your big movie coming up.
Absolutely. And this is my website. I'll put it here in the chat. So
Oh yeah, I can put it up for
yeah.
you. Uh, um, 1 second.
So they can check that out. You can actually see the cast and crew members from the movie on there. My wife done a really nice job with the website and added everybody's face and their job on the set and what they do, who's playing who, and all those great things.
So,
Yeah, yeah, there it is.
so it's just so it's just Gaines Chad. So last name first.com.
Hmm.
So
That's
you
it.
guys check it out and learn more about what's going on in Chad's world.
Yeah, a lot. Thank you again for having me on.
Thank you, Chad. I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. You too.